Japan Journal, the internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan. Japan Journal with Mal Adams.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Japan Journal. I'm your host, Mal Adams, here on the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan, Japan Journal. And today we have a very special guest on this episode of Rap About It with Mal Adams, my good friend and brother Gregory Gramby, with the middle name is hard to pronounce. We call him Hutton. Is that right?
That's my mother's maiden name. I figured I'd give her some props.
Hey, not a bad plan, man. Welcome, brother.
Gregory Hatton Gramby. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long time. We've been chatting in the recent past, and getting caught up. But man, good to see you and good to have you. I'm going to make you a co-host right now in case anybody else joins this stream. We're still streaming on the Facebook platform, but in the meantime, let's do a few minutes. You good? What time is it where you are right now?
It is it's about 11 o'clock.
Exactly. So that makes it 3 p.m. here on Monday afternoon.
Wow.
And it's overcast, cloudy, because we got a typhoon on the west end of the country. Had one on the east end, man. So we're in the middle of typhoon season. But I'm in the Nebraska of Japan, in Shizuoka Prefecture, man, which is in the center. But everything but snow. It don't snow here.
I love it.
Yeah, man, it's really a very moderate climate and just beautiful with greenery and natural environs, man. Very nice. So I'm getting a little wind on either side, east to the west, and occasional squalls of rain. But all around Japan, on the edges, man, they're catching hell because that thing came up from Okinawa. Now,
we've got 66 degrees here, Fahrenheit.
All right. That's mild. That's not warm.
Yeah.
For August, nice. Right? And where exactly are you? Tell my friends, where are you?
San Diego, California.
San Diego? I keep having you somewhere up in San Jose somewhere. No?
I used to live in San Jose, yeah.
Okay. All right. So how long have you been in San Diego?
Off and on since 2000.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it like that. So you got a house down there and a house up in the Bay Area.
I've got daughters up there and daughters down here.
Man, see, you're blessed and lucky, proximity-wise. I just posted my daughter with her 3 beautiful.
I saw that.
Oh my God, man! And I'm dying to get over there to get with them, because my first point of disembarkation would be California, LA, since they're there. Both of my daughters are in Orange County. Yep. So I got to go see them, either going or coming. I'm going to do this Omaha Hall of Fame induction thing, man, and I'm troubled, brother.
When is that?
That is the Omaha Press Club Hall of Fame that I've been nominated to be inducted to. That is September 18th.
Okay.
Which is right around the corner, but got a couple of issues.
Uh-huh.
I'm still rehabilitating from my mild stroke, and I'm having real problems of getting up for the idea of traveling 32 hours on a plane. Because I'm looking for a cheap ticket, which will have me stop 2 or 3 spots along the way. Probably have to go to Canada and go to Atlanta and then come to Chicago and then come to Omaha, something like that, And that's negotiating a lot of airports and transitions. I ain't up for it. Because when I walk long distances, I'm using the aid of a cane, I can move around my flat and around short spaces very cool without that support. But it's more than a notion, man. Even at 100% mobility and healthy, I ain't sure. So hopefully the people at the induction committee are not getting spooked by this, but I'm giving notice that I may ask them to do it virtually, like we're doing here, you know what I'm saying? Number 2 is, and the main reason is the surge. The Delta surge is killing California and America. What is the status over there as you understand it?
Well, from here, we're getting hit, and quite frankly, my wife and I, we keep our masks on when we go out, but we're close to the ocean, so we're
Yeah, that
blessed
helps.
to have a nice breeze coming in that kind of clears the air a little bit, but
Yep, right. Mhm.
we're just not taking any chances. I do want to get out and hang out and go to movies and
Yeah,
shows,
yeah.
and I just want to make sure that it's safe to do so.
Well, man, I'm not to be denied. I do all that, and
Yeah.
I'm wearing my samwe right now, which is traditional working clothes at the Buddhist temples, and it's very loose fitting and
Mhm.
quite nice, and it
That's good.
fits my big belly. And I've got an
That's
endorsement
good,
deal
man.
from one of the manufacturers here. I get mine fairly cheap, but I set on it to say, if I'm not in front of this computer and I want to go to the movies, I'll go into the room and change into my Samway and then come back here, sit my butt back down here and engage Netflix.
Good for you.
I'm going to the movies. I'll watch 2, 3 movies for the
Yeah,
same price, on Netflix.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the
I
key is to stay safe. Key is to stay
Key
safe.
stay safe and be mindful of the protocols, man, because
Thanks.
one of the issues I've shared with you, uh, this particular show we're doing, when I'm doing one-on-one chats with people in my life, we'll get to that immediately. But just to update my viewers, this is the Wrap About It episode, Wrap About It with Mal Adams. And Brother Greg has agreed to come on and let's roll back time,
There you go.
and share what we know and get caught up here. And I encourage all of the
Yeah,
people that we know as well, because we're talking about Omaha,
yeah.
Nebraska, where I
Dig
was
up some
born and
stuff.
raised, and I first met Greg. Here we go. What grade? You said seventh grade.
Seventh grade.
Is that about right?
Yeah, seventh grade.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, look here's that first impression. This was a smooth brother, had his hair cropped,
Yeah,
walk straight up and down here, very sophisticated, intellectual brother. You
yeah,
know he
yeah,
wasn't from Omaha. Hey, brother came straight from Philly to the countryside.
yeah,
Military brat, no doubt.
yeah,
So he's been around the bend
yeah.
a couple of times. And when I met him in seventh grade, I said, man, where did brother come from? So
Yeah,
I latched on immediately. We became good buddies because I said, I might be
yeah.
able to learn something here.
Well,
Speak on that.
yeah. Well, I'm coming in from Philadelphia, and back in '61, they talked. It was the styles were different. It wasn't like today where you knew what was going on in a different part of the country or different
Sure.
world right away.
Hmm.
So there were different styles in the East, different styles in the Midwest, different styles in the West, different styles in the South.
There wasn't no style in the Midwest.
Oh,
void of style, my brother. Oh, overalls and some wheat hanging out your mouth.
I never saw that much grass in all my life.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I saw that much
Least
grass.
of all in your yard.
Well, let me put it
You're
this
from
way. Let me put it this
urban
way.
brother. Sir.
I lived about 2 blocks from where you live, at
Okay.
Maple Street, and I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody. So basically, what I did was I'd run around the house until I got tired. you know,
Okay.
I had that 12-year-old energy.
Wow, 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 man.
So until I got into school, and then that was a whole new world for me because I was used to urban schools.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean urban inner city
Yeah,
schools with
yeah, sure.
all 1800 built buildings, and
Sure.
Horace Mann was a newly built facility.
Country club school.
They gave
Brand
you
new.
they gave you They gave you lunches at their school.
What? You know anything about macaroni cheese and gratin potatoes and chocolate vanilla ice cream on Fridays? Stop. Boy, we were like in heaven. We said, man, we ain't going
I wasn't.
nowhere.
I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that. But
Brownies.
did you remember Mr. Rose?
Of course, Bob Rose, man.
Bob Rose, Coach
Bob
Rose.
Rose, respected
Uh,
educator and coach, man, and
one of the best
mentor.
coaches, mentors, teachers that was out there. Never
He,
got the respect that he should have gotten, but
yeah, well, you know that was enhanced by his ability to take the chain off his neck and beat your butt as you were doing laps around the
and,
gym. What do they
and
call you?
call you sad sack.
Sad
Sad
sack.
sack.
Hey, you sad sack. Get your
Different time. That's a
hey,
different
hey.
time. Different time.
I'd have had all this money if it hit me today. I'd have sued him
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Different
and
time.
won.
But
Different time. No, but if you didn't get it at home, he made sure you got it at school. Discipline, respect, self-respect, motivation. Stop being
exactly.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I was my first week in school. I had it was a wake up call for me
Really?
because all of a sudden now I'm in school with Native American students.
Mm.
I remember distinctly a conversation. I'm just coming into the class, and you know you're signing in and everything, and they want to get your name and how to spell your name. And
Yeah.
so there was a young woman that was there, and they were saying, "Well, where were you last week?" And she says, "Well, I was at the reservation."
Wow.
You know,
True story.
and so this was like, wow, you know, all of a sudden now I'm in a different place. I'm not in Philadelphia anymore. It's like in the Wizard of Oz, you ain't in Kansas anymore.
Get your geography together.
So that was a wake up call for me on the diverseness of where I was.
Wow, very
Because I'm
interesting.
coming from Philadelphia, mostly
Absolutely.
urban school, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this was totally different for me.
Right.
So it was a big learning curve, and I'm glad that I went through it. You know, it helped me to understand the value of other people's experiences.
Absolutely. Hey, walking in somebody else's shoes and then understanding the shoes you got on, uh, which
Like,
which transitions to your background. Your
yeah,
dad was military, right? Which is
yeah,
why, and y'all
career military.
traveled. What? You moved
I
about a bit, huh?
Yeah, I went to first grade on Johnston Island, Hawaii. Was my first before they bought the nuclear bombs in.
What?
Yeah, before they bought the bombs in. That's where I went to first grade.
Wait a second. I'm hearing this for the first time. Really?
Yeah, went to first grade there,
Okay. Born where?
Philadelphia.
Born in Philadelphia is the home base. Okay. Then
Right.
the family. You have a sister, brothers? No.
No, I'm the oldest of all of mine. I was the oldest, the only child for 7 years. So
Okay.
by the time I got up, my father was in the military. My mother, they took off and was doing the military thing for a while. I stayed with grandma.
Okay.
But at 5 years old, they were going over to Hawaii. He was getting stationed over at Johnston Island, right?
Now,
And I
hip
don't
us
know if
to
you
where
know,
that is in relation to Oahu.
Johnston Island is a
Okay.
little atoll that is, I believe, it's like southwest of Oahu,
Okay.
and it's about a mile or mile, maybe 2 miles max long. It's basically an airstrip.
Mm-hmm. Never heard of it. Yeah. But
So if you
U.S. military base, right?
well, it after we left, it was turned into a nuclear bomb site. Oh, it's right as we speak. It's recovering from
Contamination.
radiation, yeah, contamination and radiation.
I don't know if you were listening before you came on. I was killing it a little time, so I reviewed and recapped the top story in Japan right now, which is August
Mm.
9th, Monday. Here is the anniversary of the last atomic bomb to be dropped on the
Yes,
planet globe, on the
yes,
planet Earth, in Nagasaki.
yes.
3 days ago, they dropped it on Hiroshima. So those two
Hiroshima.
bombs, Japan being the only nation ever to have been bombed with a nuclear
Yes,
bomb. And
yes,
to this day, if you were 76 years ago, if you're 4 years old, you're 80 now, and you are still having the after effects of radiation contamination. Even
yes,
though you may still be alive, a lot of them didn't survive it, but we got centenarians with radiation
yes.
contamination to this day, my brother.
Absolutely. It's a
Crazy.
horrific thing. So, and even the testing, the places that they did testing,
Sure.
the atoll, Johnston Island atoll is one. They did, Bimini,
Yeah,
uh,
Bimini, famous one. Yeah,
Bimini or Bikini, one of the other ones.
maybe
But
both.
most of them, they didn't know. Yeah, I mean, people just
It
said,
was
"Well,
an
we're going to drop."
experimentation. Yeah, and also the authorities wasn't about to tell them what the potential pushback was.
Yeah,
Uh,
even,
uh,
even if they knew.
I mean,
And if
in Bimini, I believe they, whichever one the videos would tell you,
yeah,
the military had agents or employees or support indigenous staff that would run out and pick up the pieces, 200
exactly,
yards from what
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
radiated elements and remnants and, of the bomb, man. So crazy. Well,
yeah,
very,
it
very
is. It is. All right, here it is, right here. It is. Yeah, veterans. They're talking about compensating veterans. It's Bikini. It was
uh,
Bikini.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
they got that. We got black brain issues in Japan. And
Yes.
trying to
Yes.
compensate it for that. There's a bill in the Japanese government right now to deal with that, and I think it just got passed. Still dealing with that, man. And
I think the message. I think the message that comes out of that is, whenever we get as a people into a position where we have all out war,
mm, mm,
the toll that it takes, potential toll that it takes on a uh, on not just one people or one country, but the entire planet
ow,
is horrific.
yeah, interesting.
It's horrific. And so it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah,
Right.
the area. So we spent a year there, first grade, and then we ended up going to Altus, Oklahoma.
Ain't no beach right there, is it?
This Oklahoma.
the beach.
Altus, Oklahoma.
The beach was the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of red clay over there, and went to Altus, and my sister was born there,
Hmm.
and so, but we were back in the United States because at that time, Hawaii was still I think
Territory.
it's territory, yeah. So we got back there, spent another year in East St. Louis, Illinois.
Now you're getting back home. Oklahoma you ain't home yet. You're on your way somewhere.
On the way back. We're getting close. And
Woo.
and so we spent time there, but it was the Emmett Till incident, his murder that
1955, right?
50 Emmett Till
56,
was
55,
killed around
56.
7.
Huh?
Emmett Till. Let me see what happened with him. He
I'm
was. I
thinking
thought it was.
55, 56. But
Yeah, that was. He was 50. He died in 55.
I'm a
55.
historian, brother.
Yeah, it's good to have Google next to
Yeah,
you.
I got
but
Google. I got
but
Malgo.
you know what a lot of people may not understand is that one of the the cornerstone one of the cornerstones of our information in particularly the African American community was a magazine called Ebony Magazine.
Ebony and Jet, the Johnson
And
publications.
Jet Magazine came out every week. So that's where we saw information, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so they showed pictures of Emmett Till in Jet Magazine.
Right.
And when I saw that, I immediately I had this thing about going south. I didn't want to go south
Ooh.
because he was killed in Mississippi.
Right.
So I ended up going back to Philadelphia and
You
went
had
back
that
going
choice
to.
as a elementary age student. You just told mom and pop you're going back to hang with
Well,
grandma.
I pitched a fit.
Uh,
I saw myself. I saw myself in a situation like him.
hey man.
You know, I saw
I, I can
myself that way.
I can imagine the imaginings
Yeah,
as a result of seeing that. Well, you know the
yeah,
impact of that photo. Shout out to his mother who refused to cover the casket at the
exactly.
ceremony. She wanted this to be seen. You know, that preceded Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, my brother, but the impact was as big as ever.
Huge,
Jet
huge.
magazine, and it was the impetus of the civil rights movement because the outrage and the impact on that motivated people. Martin Luther King emerged, Rosa
Yeah,
Parks, all of that, man.
yeah. Well, you know, he had just started. He had just started Montgomery, the Montgomery boycott.
Sure,
Boycott.
sure, you're right.
This just took it to another level.
Absolutely, catapulted it, and which talks about the importance of media
Yes.
in that role. Somebody was speaking about Martin Luther King's effectiveness had a lot to do with the fact that he knew how to call a press conference.
Yeah.
He knew how to stage a march that
Yes.
without and the emerging technic technicality of television, black and white
Yeah.
TV.
Yes.
You know,
That was new. Brand
brand
new.
new, man.
That was all brand new.
That was 5G, baby. You know, back in
But, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
back in the day. And so,
Yeah.
man, the timing of that technology and media, boom.
Yeah.
That formula still works to this day. Now you got people as a 52-year journalist, man. I wish I had what we're doing right now, streaming live globally,
Oh,
potentially.
oh.
You know what I'm saying?
It was. It
I'd have never gone to Channel 7 in Omaha and put in my 3 years.
wouldn't have had to.
Would not have had to, brother, because I had the skills to be employed there. But if I had the technology to do my thing independently, we'd have been standing a lot more erect as a community, my brother.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
You
you know, I
know,
had and you know, after that, went to Philadelphia, spent time in Philadelphia, got out of grade school. I had a teacher in the sixth grade.
hmm
His name was Anthony Peoples. I will never forget him.
okay.
He was that teacher in my life that told me that I could be anything I wanted to be.
Wow, wow. See?
He was African American, young. I must have been all of maybe 24, 25 years old.
Mm.
But every time we got to a certain level in the lesson plan, and he saw that we had achieved that level, he bumped us up.
hmm
Never let us rest on where we were.
No, in that deep.
So by the time I got out of sixth grade, we was doing eighth grade work.
Mm. Back in
So
Philly.
then, back in Philly. So fast forward, I go to Omaha.
You was like in
It
chill
was like
mode.
it was like it
Well,
was
man,
like I had.
oh man,
It was
I can
like
see.
coming to
Listen, you see
a
how I
screeching
preface
halt.
your introduction. I said this brother was sophisticated, self-assured, intellectual, and wasn't worried about too much. And coming from the urban metropolis of Philly to the Midwest of Nebraska, you were on
North Philly,
you were
North
easy.
Philly to be exact.
No, this was nothing for you, man. So
Well, it was like coming down the street at 70 miles an hour, right?
uh,
And then all of a sudden, here's a stop sign, and you coming to a screeching halt.
okay. We
All
had
of a
nothing.
sudden, all of a sudden now I'm fighting with everybody in the classroom because my hand is going up all the time.
Wait a minute. Let me tell that part. see, I had to fake keep my hand from going up all the time just so I didn't get ostracized, But I'm like,
Yeah,
ow. Ah.
yeah,
Listen.
yeah.
But you didn't know
Oh
yet.
man,
You
I was used to Philly. I was used to Philly.
and okay,
I thought
so
I
so
thought they
let
knew what I knew.
so so our Spanish teacher, God bless Miss Mooney.
Oh,
She loves some Greg Gramby, man. You could see it written all over her face. Boy, you was like the teacher's pet because
love
he gets it. You wasn't a knucklehead, right? You were
it.
sophisticated. And so I said, let's shout out Gary Daniels. Remember Gary?
I don't.
Gary was
I
horseman
remember the
junior high,
name.
maybe seventh or eighth grade. I think seventh grade. Same kind of demeanor, you know what I'm saying? Smart cat. Gary was a mathematician, scientist, physicist, and went on to
Yeah,
send, you
yeah.
know, I think he went to Creighton Prep.
Wow.
But a cool brother. Oh, y'all cut out the same cloth, that kind of thing. So, but not for that, I'd have been rolling with,
Yeah.
you know, we,
I'm telling you. One of the best things that happened to me was going to Omaha. In
I hear that.
retrospect,
I hear
like I
that a
said,
lot from brothers. Yeah.
yeah, it helped me to understand, that there's other things going on in the world.
Absolutely.
First of all, but it also forced me to get out and stretch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I'm at a school, where you remember Tech High. Tech High had everything from a rifle range in the basement to
Sure.
a Olympic pool
Right.
to all of the technical skills that you may need to get a job if you don't go to college.
Metal shop, drafting, woodworking,
Everything, everything, auto
auto
mechanics,
mechanics. So when you
the whole
graduated,
thing.
you could go to work.
Exactly. I have a friend who graduated from Tech, and they taught him how to weld, and he retired welding.
Wow.
Retired welding.
Right.
So he had a job. He had the skills to do things when he got out. So that was great. That's also the place where I met my bride to be.
You see,
Yeah,
but
met her.
and the other side of that was like some of us said, man, we better trigger our intellectual parts to go to Central High School so we get college preparation. And that was the thing. Otherwise, you're gonna have to be a skilled tradesman or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And Tech was too far away from where we'd have had to take
Right.
a bus. Central was too downtown. But I'm youngest of seven. Half of my family went to Central. Half my family went to North because we lived on Work Street.
Right. Right.
And so that was just the
Yeah.
closest school. But Tech also, we knew you had your knuckle game had to be together too.
Yeah. you had some frustrated brothers in Tech High. But you know, the other thing though, but it had theater. I was in the school plays. You know, it had theater.
Yeah.
It had, yeah, I learned how to get out and work, right? So I had ROTC,
Oh, yeah. I was ROTC too, man.
had ROTC. So you had a lot of things that allowed a young, hungry person that whatever it was, they could find a way to get into it.
Okay.
And now this is around Vietnam, and this is during the Vietnam War.
Show you right. Yeah, man.
Everybody was
1967.
studying. Everybody was studying, so they didn't have to go to the war. They go into college.
Man, you did not want to slip and slide because
Oh,
that draft lottery, man. You had to have right numbers, right? Grades and stuff.
that was another traumatic thing that we had to deal with back at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Man, listen.
Every
Here's how
had this
close I
number that, yeah, it's a
here's how
lottery. Lottery.
here's how close I came to never being a broadcast journalist. I'm in the induction center. And if it were not for Robert's Dairy football, seventh grade, I spent half of my seventh grade at 2622 North 24th Street in bed listening to a monitor because I had a cartilage busted in my left knee, and that required several weeks
Yeah,
of healing.
yeah.
Couldn't participate in anything, couldn't even go to school, couldn't walk without a
Right.
crutch. So I'm
So
monitoring.
did you play with Johnny Rogers?
I got a whole nother Johnny Rogers story. I think he was on the team, but let me more than Johnny, because at Robert's Dairy, we were like seventh grade, maybe sixth, seventh grade, and earlier, you know. So I would have been 13, 12, 13,
Oh,
14.
okay.
So Johnny would have
Yeah.
been 11, but Johnny,
Yeah,
I go
yeah.
on. Let me proceed about Johnny. Lothrop School, which you did not go to, Lothrop.
No,
All
I
right,
remember it
Lothrop
though.
Elementary. I'm in fourth grade. Ed Morrow, named Bozo, bass player, fifth
Right,
grade. And Johnny Johnny was fourth grade. I was fifth grade, and Ed was sixth grade because the school before Horace Mann went to sixth. So
right.
Bozo was a senior cat, athletic, good basketball player. I was quick. George Barber, the white coach, you know, he
Okay.
favored me because I was quick. I wasn't fast, you know, but I
Right,
I was a wrestler with the YMCA and the state champion under
Okay.
Gilmore for a couple of years. I had trophies, you know. I would pin your ass, you know. So, but you know, okay. So I had potential, but Johnny Rogers.
Yeah.
So the PTA demonstration, Bozo goes down, does a forward flip, boom, lands there and poses. I come out, leap over him, roll, boom, and there's two bodies. Then Johnny would come leap over all of us
Yeah,
and do a
yeah.
double roll jump up, boom.
Hall of Fame.
That's what I knew. Fourth grade in Horace Mann. For those who are not aware, we're talking about the Heisman Trophy winner of 1971 or whatever, you know, Nebraska
And
University.
Hall of Fame. And
Hall
Hall
of
of Fame.
Fame,
Yeah.
you know, punt return, touchdown
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
game of the century winning
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
Oklahoma and
Omaha
Nebraska.
and Nebraska.
I was at the game, by the way. I was in the news business at that time, covering that game for, might have been one of the radio stations. But anyway, incredible, incredible
No,
athlete, gifted brother,
no,
and he
I
never
was
looked
in
back. And so he went to Tech
yeah.
and emerged from there. You know,
That was like that he was a superstar when he came to that.
he was a
He was already
superstar.
a
I'm
superstar.
telling you, he was a superstar in elementary school.
Yeah, he was already
The
a
world didn't
superstar.
know yet. We knew. And then he
Yeah,
went to junior high school, you know.
yeah, yeah. And then Nebraska, once he got to Nebraska, you know that game you talked about. I
Yeah.
was in Pontiac, Michigan at the time.
Okay.
And I was talking to some friends of mine, and I said, "Look, I got to get home to watch this game." And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. He said, "Well, what game is this?" I said, "Oklahoma and Nebraska."
Yeah, what they got to do with
Right?
Michigan?
They're looking at me like they're looking at like like I'm out of space, right? And so finally we start watching the TV set and the look, and when they were getting the introduction of the players, you could see it. It came across the screen. You could see the emotions around that game
Oh
that
my
came
God.
across the screen.
Oh my God.
And they said, "Oh, I see what you mean."
Yeah.
Any of your viewers can YouTube that game,
Yeah.
they need to look at that game.
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Game of the century.
Game of the century. That's it. College game of the century, man. You know.
Yeah.
And so Johnny Rogers to this day is a hero
Oh
in
yeah.
Omaha,
Oh yeah.
Nebraska. You know, his legacy is long, and a great brother and a great citizen of the community,
Yeah.
one
Yes,
of our
yeah.
heroes. Yeah. Now
Yes,
you mentioned thespianism at Tech High and acting and whatnot.
yeah.
Shout out to our good brother John Beasley, who I believe went to
Oh
high.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
he may have
Yeah.
got his start there, but one of our
The
most
whole
famous
crew.
actors, yeah,
All
out
those
of them,
Beasley. All those Beasley.
got his
And
theater.
yeah, he was there, but I had the opportunity to take a lead in one of the plays that they had in 19, I think this was like 65, 66.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up breaking my leg. So I never got into the play, and I never got into the actual play,
Wow.
which was like this turn in your life that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
another place. But Tech didn't get a lot of credit for arts.
That's right.
It had its own newspaper, taught people, had
Print
its own,
press, absolutely. All of that.
taught people how to be reporters.
And on the flip side of that is Central had a lack of that stuff, of
Yeah,
those opportunities, even though those of us who were academically inclined and destined for college and whatnot, you
right,
know,
right,
I
right.
faked it because I was that guy go, hey, yeah, I got that answer
Yeah,
without
yeah,
studying. I didn't do the painstaking academic work. I was ready. I felt I was good to go. So I
you
was
you was like,
ROTC.
yeah, you was like preaching in Cooley High. See,
Exactly. That's my character. That's my character. That's right. If you don't believe me, ask me.
yeah.
I'll tell you. But a lot of that's real because I'm the youngest of 7 intellectuals that preceded me in my family lives, man. You know, I believe I'm a broadcaster to this day because my grandfather, John Adams Sr., the patriarch,
Yeah,
required me at the
of
age of
course.
7, 8, and 9 to read the newspaper for him. He's in his senior. He's sitting back. That's the Reverend John Adams, State Senator. Skippy,
Yeah.
read me the headline, son. And you read the headline, I'll tell you when to read the details of the story. Okay, so I'm going to him. So and so and so, Omaha Public Power District. Going to the no. So and so and so. Yeah, read that.
Yeah.
I had to read
See?
on a daily basis before dinner, because I had to,
Yeah.
that was his access to what was going on. Otherwise he'd have to get out his glasses and do that. Now, I was the newscaster for him at the age of 8
And
years old, and I'm sharing that
and
with
he
you.
and he taught you.
I,
You were learning to be a newscaster
I
at eight
was
years old.
I was not only learning the fundamentals, the skill set of being a newscaster, I was getting the news information in my head of what was going on. And I
And
was the
enunciation.
current affairs and social
Yeah.
issues that associated with things he was interested in as a lawmaker for the black community.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So man,
I love
I
it.
look back on that and I realized that, man, I was good to go, man. At the age of 19, when I
Yeah.
got the business, I auditioned and was hired on the spot,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Well,
but
you were taught by one of the best.
hey, man, I had the family infrastructure to support. So, but the flip side of that is, man, My older brothers and sisters did it right and had it for real. I faked my
Uh-huh.
way through and had that gift of gab, and I could get by, get through, But I'm
Well,
on I'm a on a job training kind of brother. Quick study, quick study, and so
and it
that got
served
me
you well.
through for 50 years. But
Served you well.
yeah, man. So you married early, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're back to what, Detroit? After
Philadelphia.
you went back to
Went
Philadelphia
back to Philadelphia.
with your
Yeah.
bride.
Yeah. Yeah. That bring the to meet the family and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles,
Hmm.
all of those, and it
Are you
was
are your folks from Philadelphia, or did they
yeah.
migrate there from somewhere?
Well, they migrate. Well, their parents migrated
From where?
from North Carolina.
Same here. See, that's why I asked a question. That's that part of our parents, our grandparents would have been tail end of the Great Migration, I guess, in the
Yeah.
50s
So
and
what
30s.
what part
My
of North?
my father born in Wilmington, North Carolina,
Okay. Okay.
and my uncle John, his older brothers, Columbia, South Carolina.
Ah. Okay. Yeah.
And then granddaddy had come there from Fulton County, Georgia. So and so
Oh, Fulton County.
Fulton
That's
County.
that's where Atlanta is. That's
Okay,
the county that
all right.
Atlanta's.
Okay, so I think he studied Gammon Theological Seminary, which was probably in Atlanta, I believe. But his early education, and then he became a lawyer. Born in 1876, mulatto brother. I did that history. My brother
Yeah.
David is our archaeologist, our family, what do you call it? The family
Yeah.
historian. And there's enough information so that when I was in D.C. on business, I would go to the Library of Congress and look at the microfiche census records. And
Microfiche.
yeah, man. And you look at the thing, and there was the report of my grandfather and his mother, Belle, who was clearly an African, and her sister. And in that house, the census takes who's resident.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they just gave her name Bell, wasn't no last name. So if
Right.
granddaddy was born in 1876, if she was childbearing age, two women of childbearing age in this house, would have been 1856, I guess, when she would have been married, saying she's 20 years old. So
Yeah.
prior to emancipation. So
Yeah.
she had been a slave. And so there she was with her younger sister in the house with maybe 5 children, one of
Yeah.
which was my grandfather and his sibling, and then his cousins, his auntie, his mother's sister's 2 or 3 kids. I know the offspring of that to this day. Adams is in California, man. So I'm studying this, I'm going like, damn, man, that brings it close enough for me to realize, my heritage and understand this 400-year sojourn that we're on
Yeah.
only pivoted in 1865. And then they had the new slavery called Jim Crow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Emmett Till, Martin Luther King era, civil rights movement. But
Yeah.
hey, shit changed, man. it's a,
No.
we're
Well,
just, they reinvent the game. And
if you reinvent the game, the pivotal point for me in my mind was 1876.
mm,
Brother P. Hayes was coming into office, and he negotiated a compromise with the Southern to get the Southern vote.
pull out the federal enforcers, right?
Exactly. Once you do that, there's no law anymore. The bully can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah,
There's no.
that's when they had lost, but they then won.
Yeah. Well,
Lost the battle, won the war.
exactly. So, it's part of history that I think we need to really pay real close attention to, because unfortunately, there's a segment of our society that only looks at the Constitution from 17 whatever it was up until
1776.
yeah up until 1865.
Right. But
They
what's your
don't they
point?
don't
It
they
don't
don't
start.
recognize.
So what you're saying is what I'm thinking of what we now know in terms of current knowledge, given the New York Times 1619 project,
Yeah,
the Pulitzer Prize winning sister, I forget her name.
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay, you got your Google there. I need you
Yeah,
to
hold
Google
on.
a couple of things too. What is the concept about something theory about the new concept of reinvestigating the Black history theory?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
the
forget what they
critical race theory.
racial theory. Racial
Critical
theory.
critical race theory, I believe is the correct term. Hit that for
What
me.
does that mean?
What it means is academia is emphasize the importance of doing exactly what you described in your last comments of
Uh,
not starting at 1776, but starting at 1619 when America truly was born and
yeah,
was
yeah,
birthed through racism, the institution of history, and the role that Africans played in that is part and parcel of the founding of America. So
right.
anybody who wants to negate that, ignore that, and nullify that is lying to themselves and to the world so as to cover up the real impetus of America, the colonization of red people's land
Yeah, yeah,
at the hands of the King George, who
yeah,
who empowered governors of Virginia who were emissaries of the royal crown. So you got your Thomas Jefferson, your Ben Franklins, and all these cats were linkages from the royal. They were erudite, elitist, and slave owners. Talking
yeah.
about freedom, justice, and equality, and all men are created equal with initially inalienable rights and then subsequently on the rewrite unalienable rights. I still call it inalienable rights. Do that one too. Yeah, man. And
Yeah,
that means God-given rights that you cannot alienate yourself from.
that's right. You can't.
Inalienable. Absolutely. But hey, for 300, 400 years until current times, nobody wanted to emphasize that. So you said 1776, some people say, well, things got better for us after emancipation. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
That was
Well,
we were sold out. That was a compromise. And
yeah,
Abraham Lincoln said, look, if I could keep them slaves and save the Union, I would do
yeah,
that. All right?
yeah,
Okay, go
yeah.
ahead. What'd you find?
Rutherford B. Hayes was the one, and I look at him, and he sold. He just shut the door.
Hey,
I mean, you don't realize that we had senators, we had people that were running, towns like Tulsa and
oh,
Rosewood that started around that time.
Boulder, Oklahoma, places like that, and
Allenwood, California. I mean, there's a bunch of towns that got started without the need because it was still segregated. So they had their lawyers, doctors, teachers, professionals from all which precipitated the Harlem Renaissance.
absolutely. And my
Ended up,
granddaddy in 1908, with the
yeah,
if you Google the Pink Franklin trial, that was the South state of South Carolina versus Pink Franklin, defended by my grandfather and his partner, a brother named Moore. They had a fledgling law firm. Granddaddy never studied for the bar, but read for his license to be
right,
in light, so as what you mentioned, all kind of professional brothers who had the capability and ability to deal for their own people were licensed and were able to practice. So my grandfather read
yeah,
for the law and then ended up pleading the case before
yeah,
the South Carolina Supreme Court, and then on appeal, having been denied by a jury not of his peers, ended up on the
right,
U.S. Supreme Court, only the second African to have pled a case before the U.S. Supreme Court in 1908, a case that was intervened by the likes of Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. And it became
Yeah.
the prize case of the newborn NAACP, my grandfather's murder case, because the brother shot the sheriff who kicked his door in at 3 o'clock in the morning to collect the sharecropping money. True
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Wikipedia's got
Yeah.
it there for you.
I'm looking at it on Google right now.
Are you really?
Absolutely.
Okay. You see
Yeah.
John Adams in there, you'll probably see the case.
And now I see the case.
All right. Is that a Wikipedia version?
Wikipedia version, yeah.
All right. There should be the mention of the guys who defended Pink Franklin. Share that with me if you come across. Should be somewhere up in there.
I definitely will. I'm trying to speed read this thing.
Yeah, no problem. But that's the brother that ended up in Nebraska, and his son, my uncle John, becoming.
Here we go. And it said that P.T. Hildebrand and 3 other lawyers were the prosecution, and Patsy was found not guilty, while Pink found guilty.
Patsy being Pink's wife, right? I think the wife shot. The wife shot, and
yeah, that was his wife. His wife.
Okay, okay, go ahead. I cut you off.
So while Pink was found guilty in the one-day trial heard by Judge J.C. Clough, Franklin's defense was Jacob Moore from Orangeburg and John Adams from Columbia.
That's my granddaddy, man.
Granddad, right there.
Who you lived a couple of blocks from on 2620, 24th on Maple.
Man, yeah. You was living there too, wasn't you?
Yeah, actually we went from Worth Street. I was born on 25th and Corby, 2417, 25-7, right around the corner from Ernie Chambers.
Right.
Ernie was my big brother coming up in the hood at Corby Playground, and the Ashford family and the Cook families, all of it, 7 kids apiece in them days.
Well, let me read this to you, brother.
All right.
This is towards the end. It says the jury was all white.
That's what I said. It was not a jury. Yeah.
And Moore and Adams felt this was due to the unconstitutional discrimination against blacks seeking to register to vote.
And we still dealing with voter registration to this day.
Yeah,
2020. That was 1908 when my granddaddy was arguing the same basis, constitutional issue. Okay.
Yes. And it says it was reported that even the trial judge, Klough, K-L-O-U-G-H, believed that Franklin would not have been convicted if he were white.
Freedom, justice, liberty, all of that.
You know, the bottom line for me is that
recrop your camera, brother. I'm getting
Oh yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, the bottom line for me is that we have fought in every war. Every war this country has had.
1776.
Yes.
1812. 1812. Christmas
Prince Hall.
No.
Prince Hall.
Here, hold your point, but here's a little pertinent history at that time. You know, the governor of Virginia at that time, who, as I described earlier, Franklin and all them so-called founding fathers, was all homeboys of the king anyway.
Yeah.
You just can't move to a land not of your own and come up with 9,000 acres apiece. Thomas Jefferson, what? Where'd you get the land? Where you get the money for the land, man? Who you pay for? Come on. He was authorized and empowered by the king, to represent and collect taxes for him and exploit the exploits, of the land of the food. But my point is that governor used slavery as a political tool to say, okay, look, y'all want to revolt as 13 states and defy my king who sent me here to manage y'all and get his money for him in this newfound land? Well, I tell you what. Here's what the king authorized me to do. We're gonna release these black slaves and recruit them to fight against you if you dare throw down on us or talk about
Yeah.
some revolutionary war. And and a lot of the brothers took the bait and went to Halifax, Canada. What is that? What's that area? Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were liberated and ended up being repatriated because of their good service during the war
Right.
to Liberia, or was it Sierra Leone, to form the Freetown. Freetown was the new settlement of.
Liberia.
Okay, Liberia was Liberia, yeah, but there was, I think, Sierra Leone had a Freetown, which was one of the first settlements of returning Africans. Yeah, man. And so that governor, that was a political game, but if you don't go back and study that, you'll be confused about the lie of white supremacy.
Well,
No,
that's the
what,
whole
what,
point. That's the whole point of stalling this 1619 thing.
that's what I'm saying, man. You
The
already
whole
know.
point.
You already know.
Oh, that's the whole point. You know who was Danny let's see. The Rock's ancestors on his father's side.
He's black, man. Father's black guy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, his family were part of those blacks that went up to Canada. That was
Nova Scotia and all of them and all that.
Yeah, they were fighting. They were fighting on the side of the British.
Okay, and they weren't alone. A lot of brothers said, "Hey, we'll take this deal," because they said, "If you fight with us, we'll cut you some slack, give you 40 acres and a mule, or we'll send you back to Africa." You know.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, he was Wade Douglas Boyles, but he lived in New Zealand.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think where it said, but he was part of yeah. Johnson's father was a black Nova Scotian with a small amount of Irish industry.
See there.
And his father was part of the first black, these tag team, but he was also part of that group that you talked about.
Sure. Yeah.
That's his father's ancestors.
Sure.
You know, and fathers and great.
And they're noted in history, so that's documented, man. Yeah. But what did you learn that at Horace Mann? Or in Philadelphia?
No, brother.
In Oklahoma? In your early childhood education?
Yeah, you got to go.
And you wouldn't learn it at Harvard either.
No, you got, someone sent me a clip of a book that I had almost forgot about. And the name of the book was Before the Mayflower.
Oh, absolutely.
By Leontine Bennett.
Before the Mayflower. Okay.
Before the Mayflower.
Okay, I know that book. Yeah. Summarize that.
He wrote for Jet.
Oh, of course. Well, the sister who did the 1690 project credits him with her inspiration. That's where she first got the knowledge.
That book is I gotta go get it.
Yeah, you gotta. I was exposed to it back in the day, but I don't think I never read it from cover to cover. But
like I said,
was aware of it.
Yeah, we have to go. We have to go back.
We were a little bit too young to jump into that at that point, but we knew who Lerone Bennett was for sure. He even came through. Bennett. He even came through Omaha as a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Brilliant journalist, man.
Well, Jet Magazine. Jet Magazine was his platform.
That was his platform. Yeah.
That was his platform.
And Ebony later, but
yeah.
But they can't. What's the name of the book again?
Before the Mayflower.
Before the Mayflower. Now, there's another one similar in terms of focal point, but they came before Columbus. The black South American brother who takes you to Mexico and shows you pyramids and African icons with big lips and broad noses, all the way to the damn Pacific, to Peru. Now how they get there?
Well, there is a brother here in San Diego that has a museum.
Mm.
And that museum is right here in Old Town. So if anybody's coming to Old Town on Congress Street, they'll see the flag over there on the side
Mm.
and stop in, because this brother, his focus is Mexican, Black, African Mexican history
Mm. Interesting.
and how it impacted the early San Diego
Mm.
and California as a whole. So he does exactly the same thing. He says, okay, this is what it looks like. Where else do you see pyramids?
On the planet. Where else?
On the planet, right? And they've got statues.
Machu,
Where else do you
Machu
see
Picchu, if
statues?
you get an area view, it's a landing strip for some kind of vehicle. Come
Exactly.
on, man. You know, ain't no European in
No,
that
no.
nowhere. They haven't made it into history yet.
So we've got. I hope. My concern is that we're repeating. We're going back.
I think so.
We're going backwards
That's
as opposed to forward.
I think so.
And
In
unfortunately,
retrospective, yeah.
yes, unfortunately, um, this we depend too much on schools that are not run by those who
Conscious, knowledgeable, woke
yeah,
curriculum makers.
yeah. I'm trying to say it the right way, brother. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm talking about, you get school boards that didn't go to school. You got school boards with people that didn't go to school. They have no idea.
Financed by property taxes that didn't include the poor folks who were not paying that much, so you didn't get no bang on for your buck. That needs to be changed too. The finance of the public schools.
So
Make
there's a lot that is structurally
right
in this country. It's set up so that certain people cannot win.
from 1619. That's
Yes.
the point. Institutionalized
Yes.
racism, my brother, and
that's
so
what that means. That's exactly what it means.
exactly what it means. Critical race theory means to recognize and acknowledge the extent to which this racist country was born through racism and
Yeah.
manifested and maintained
Yes.
throughout on the basis of the institutions that derived from that number one original sin.
Yes.
Shackling up people in chattel slavery and taking their money for free labor. And then the finances generated from the slave labor you can't criticize the South. No, the people in New York had the factories that manufactured the cotton and the material and sold it to
Boston. Boston.
Boston.
Textile mills in the Boston, in Massachusetts. That's where the textile mills were.
All the industrial north. What industry would y'all deal in? Sugar cane and cotton?
Cotton's king. Cotton was king.
And the king said, look here, we're going to need some tax money from you. Y'all making too much money on my land. And so these were espionage and, you know, what is the word? Intervention and intelligence work. The royal family dealt with the Native Americans and said, look here, now if y'all attack them pioneers that going over the Appalachian Mountains trying to steal the rest of y'all land, they got the 13th colony now. They're coming for more. So we're going to give y'all weapons to shoot them up or attack them before they incited insurrection. So go look at the Declaration of Independence. It designates indigenous insurrection, or the buzzword for slaves, they called them, I have to go back, 1619 talks about that as well. That language of the Declaration of Independence. Look at land of the free, home of the brave, freedom, justice, equality, inalienable rights. But not these cats, because these are domestic something or other they call.
It was not. It was not designed for. It was designed for the signers and the friends of the signers.
And of course, the puppets, the Caucasian European immigrants from
Yeah,
Ireland,
yeah.
Germany, all them things, who were not known as white folks and had no supremacy until they came here and were tricked
Yeah.
by the loyalists.
Well, what frustrates me is that they were supposed to be Puritans, weren't they? They were supposed to be the Puritans that came over
And there were those who
and religious folks.
but not to a great extent. There were just some immigrants that got on the boat, and the worst of them was sent all the way to Australia.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
that's how those
yeah.
white folks got down there.
That penal colony.
They wouldn't cut the deal. They were criminals from the jump.
Yeah, yeah.
So they
So
were they were they were doing ethnic cleansing in England of their own people. These immigrant rogues coming down from Scotland and Ireland and Germany.
yeah,
The whole royal family heritage is German,
right,
and it
right.
ain't English. You ain't
No,
Anglo-Saxon.
no. I mean, as long as you came from Europe, somewhere in Europe, you were okay. As long as you came from somewhere in Europe, you were good. And
When you got to America, yeah, sure.
yeah, and well, the biggest issue, but the biggest issue that they had was Ireland. That was because England was fighting with Ireland at the time.
Right, right.
Had a beef. So when the Irish would come over to the United States, back during the Civil War, that was a big issue. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so there you had the New York riots.
Right.
Didn't want to go to war. Then you had the Irish coming over, quote unquote, taking people's jobs.
Oh yeah,
Immigrants,
sure, absolutely.
taking people's jobs. So
And they were
we have a
Irish
history.
Catholic. They're Irish Catholic, right?
Yeah, that's the other part that
The
that
religious
didn't.
thing. Yeah, they were not Anglican.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. That
royalty bought into the religion too. You had to be Anglican.
yeah, yeah. That goes
So
back
so
to
what does
the
that tell you about Christianity? How it was manipulated and stolen from the walls of the temples in Egypt in the hieroglyphics, all them
yeah.
concepts. The Immaculate Conception, I know,
You're gonna make folks
what,
mad now. You're gonna make folks mad now.
oh, but they can be mad with the facts if they want to. I deal in the truth.
You
If you're
go,
Christian, then listen
yeah.
to the truth.
Listen to the truth.
Hey,
No, they call the Trinity.
yeah,
Uh,
right.
call the mother and the father and the baby. And way before Christianity, they called it the Greeks
Uh-huh.
called it Horus,
Cyrus, Osiris,
Osiris, and Isis.
Isis, Isis. Yeah.
Right. Well, you could just take that family and just fast forward.
Yeah, and then but the concept then came 300 years after Jesus so-called lived, when the Nicene Conference in Nice,
Oh,
France, where I've been,
yeah.
they called it all the
They looked it
imperial,
up. Yeah.
the Roman imperial agents, and said, man, you know, this cat rolling like Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, or somewhere down here. We
Yeah.
got, and they circumventing our authority. We better co-opt this thing.
Yeah.
And that Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. There's your God. Okay, so it had three aspects to it.
Yeah. They
Okay,
put that
Jesus.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they flipped the script and
That
and,
together.
and, and changed a few verses and added some proverbs.
Yeah. And weaponized it. And
It
weaponized it.
totally weaponized.
Weaponized it. So if you weren't believing in that, then you were attacked. You had the what was that? Inquisition.
That's right.
The
The Spanish.
and yeah, the Spanish Inquisition. You had all kinds of
But
attacks
the,
on
the
people.
Islamic brothers came, the Moors came and dominated China, 700 years of
Yeah,
Spanish control, right?
until they got
where they got their science and their culture and their mathematics and
they took it.
all.
They took it. They took
Brother,
it.
the Moors left it with them, and they couldn't do nothing with
Well, yeah, it was there for years. The
it.
same people
Sure.
that built architectures.
So it was still like hieroglyphics to them. They couldn't
No,
on their own, they didn't.
no.
Have
But
it.
that's the same way with building the gin mill, building the
Oh,
cotton gin. Same
what's
way
the
with,
boy's name? What's the boy's name? Went down there and saw the brother.
yeah,
What was his name? The
that
cotton.
stole it. It wasn't Stephen Falls. I forget his name.
Yeah, right. But anyway, that
I
dude.
mean, all those tools, all those tools. I give you one that is that's recent.
Okay.
Have you heard of Uncle Nearest?
No, not that rings a bell. Yeah,
You've heard of you've heard of Jack Daniels.
of course.
Who was the distiller for Jack Daniels?
Okay, the guy you mentioned.
Nearest. They called him Uncle Nearest. He
Um,
now has his own. The family now has their own brand.
you see,
Okay? So what was made? If I'm under your possession, then everything that you do was given to me.
ain't no copyright, ain't no
No,
patent. You didn't get no patent.
no, no. But
You
the
got
family got it for Uncle Nearest.
you got to live in the big house. You might eat better, you know, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
and we'll give you this room to make some more shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
So you ain't got no Uncle Nearest in the restaurant.
Yes, I do. Number 7, brother, Jack Daniel.
Ah!
Oh, oh, and it ain't bourbon. That's whiskey. I
There
used to
you
have to
go.
educate my Japanese subscribers. Now this is bourbon. If you're from Kentucky, this is what this is here. Oh, we love
Yeah,
bourbon. We love Four Roses bourbon,
yeah,
Kentucky bourbon.
yeah. Ah,
Pretty much, I thought was a Japanese mix when I first moved there 45 years ago. They sold
uh-huh.
more Four Roses bourbon in Japan than they did in Kentucky, man.
Right.
And uh,
Rose. Wow.
mash whiskey. Jack
Yep.
Daniels, sour mash. Isn't that what it was?
Sour mash. Yeah.
Number
Familiar with that.
number 7, baby.
Yeah.
Come on, I ran about for 23 years sitting behind the counter slinging that stuff.
I know.
I pour you one and hit one with you and charge you for it. If
I'm
you,
telling
you know what I'm
you. Love it.
saying? Because Japanese so polite, oh master, those are, oh, I can drink out your bottle. All right then, yeah, mama, yes, sir. I'd
Yeah.
kill a bottle before you did.
Man.
But it was all interaction, communication, and exposing to the. Once I got your butt in the seat sitting at Miles Bar, it was time. I went to school on you. I said, now, do you know anything about the discriminated people of Japan, the people who handled the meat in defiance of Buddhist precepts, the ones y'all don't publicly denounce, but they got a community of them down the road. Oh, you talk about
Yeah.
the Burakumin? Yeah, village people is trying to say, yeah. Why y'all hating on them so much? I said, well, that's the way black folks in America. Oh, man. I love Japan, man. People, I don't care what you heard, man, but these people, compared to that nonsense over there, ain't no white supremacy over here, man.
No.
and
No.
and they know that we're their daddy, that we precede them historically, culture, and everything else. You are island people, downline of the Ryukyus and the Ainu. Those are the indigenous people. Y'all came here and you breeded yourself. Everything you got came from China. Your
Yeah.
language,
Yeah.
you know what
And
I'm
the
saying?
yeah, those knocks. And so yeah, so it's we've got work to do.
Yeah, we do.
Got work to do.
But
First,
it's
the
going to
first
be
and
a
foremost,
joyous work. You know, it's going to be
and it's education.
it is
We have to
education,
make sure
man.
that people get the correct education.
And we got to educate ourselves first, the young people,
Exactly.
because the
Exactly.
system ain't going to get to you. But too little credit goes to that brother who's the executive editor of the New York Times, a black brother from New Orleans, right? Did you know that?
For the New York Times,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not. I'm not familiar with him.
Google
I
executive.
don't get the Times that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a guy who under whose management tutelage the 1619 Project got the green light. That's what I'm suggesting. It's
Oh
just,
yeah,
and
yeah,
this,
yeah.
do you see his name there? Can you?
Uh, hold on.
New Orleans brother. I guess the sitting current uh, executive manager, whatever the title name of the publisher, executive editor, runs the newspaper. And
Runs the news.
huh?
He runs the newspaper.
Yeah,
The publisher. He's the editor or publisher.
yeah, would be the editor, I suspect. Yeah. Executive editor.
Yeah.
Forget the title. If you say,
Boss.
huh?
The boss.
Yeah.
Dean. There he is. Dean Bucket.
A mulatto, not a mulatto, but a Creole brother out of a
Yeah.
black guy out of New Orleans, man.
Yeah. He looks like he's Creole.
Yeah. And if you get a chance, Google the YouTube interview of him of Jay-Z.
Oh really?
Oh man, this guy is he's so down, and I don't think enough people, black folks, realize that we got that position, you know, because this is the brother under whose tutelage the 1619 Project would ever have been done.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't think a non-melanated brother would allow that to go down in the New York Times? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
Brilliant
I gotta
brother.
check him out.
Got to check him out, man.
I gotta
A
check
lot
him
of people don't realize he doesn't get enough credit for green lighting that project. That young sister who was
Yes.
a writer
Yes.
pitched the project, and then she managed it under his okay.
It because they released it. They were the ones that published it.
Absolutely, it initiated there under as a project of the New York Times
Exactly.
magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
So I have to look. I'll have to look that
Yeah.
up.
Check him out. Check him out. He's a cool brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see his
And
interview with
to,
Jay-Z is pretty interesting.
born in New Orleans.
Yes, sir, man. Creole brother.
Yeah.
You know, one of them French names, Bouquet, you know, whatever.
That's when they was they got a lineage.
Got
The
a whole nother side of
French was doing the same thing.
They did it better too. I think did a real
Yeah, they did a little better, but I tell you, man,
they brought a little more culture with it, because you had,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
jazz emerged largely. We had the blues influence, you know, and then
yeah,
okay, fine. Then you get the virtuosity of a lot of Creole. But Jelly Roll Morton was another Creole brother
yes,
who
yes,
was classically trained and said, "Man, let
yes,
me."
yes.
And he was the first to notate jazz on sheet music, you know, boom, and that sprung it up. But that was a hybrid, man, of
Yeah.
cultures.
It
But
was a hybrid of cultures.
African, the
Yeah,
rhythms, all of course, but
got
hybrid.
native,
It had tinge,
Native American,
a little Creole tinge, a Spanish tinge. You go down to the Cuban raffle rhythm, but what?
a little Cajun,
Cajun for you. So
Creole.
you got to know your history, man.
Yeah, it's amazing, and then you add California. California was part of that battle for who had the biggest gun in 1840 whatever when
Eight,
they
wasn't
fought the Mexicans.
it? Absolutely. Yeah.
This is how they got California and Arizona and
Absolutely.
parts of Texas. And so,
Yeah. That
it's who got the biggest gun.
you come from Philly to Nebraska, then you would be privy to that Midwest territorial settlement also.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
dealing with Native Americans. Omaha is a tribe name, the Omaha
Yes,
Indians.
it
You
is.
know what I'm saying?
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, it is.
so that's an interesting part. So
Yeah, that's why I said it was a big wake up for me when I came to school, and all
yeah,
of a
man,
sudden I'm seeing somebody
you were out there.
live and in color.
That's
In my mind, I didn't think there were reservations anymore.
now here's the flip side of that. When I first went, you remember Harold Dow? God rest
Okay.
in peace,
Yeah.
him, and cats that came from the East Coast, West Coast connection, Sam Singleton and cats, Jimmy
Uh-huh.
Jones and all the cats that went to UNA on scholarships and mentored by Dr. Don Benning, rest in peace, who was
Okay.
one of our greatest educators and a big brother to me, classmates of my brother Ralph and Mike.
Right.
And then Don, a star athlete in his own right in North High School, wrestling and football.
Right.
And then mentored the brothers who came out, couldn't get in Ivy League schools in the East, come out to Nebraska and
Right.
thrived, man. But,
Yeah.
being absentee, my mama with a lot of kids just put one more seat at the table, wasn't a problem. But them old widowed sisters gave them rooming houses and rental and would cook for those brothers. And so they got schooled like you did when you came out from Philly. They got a whole new
Yeah.
notion. And what all of a sudden building careers, education out there in the West, right? And so when Harold being the first brother on TV news in Nebraska, me being the second, the first to anchor a regular newscast, gave Channel 7 a couple of years, 3 years of our time, and then left them together with no brothers. And we
Right.
left town and headed back east. Harold said, "Come on, man, y'all treated me so well out here. You come, we're gonna camp out in Hackensack, New Jersey." So I spent a year at his home. His mom and dad fed me on reverse,
Right.
and
I
I
saw
got it.
that.
Yeah, and I got an internship at WCBS Radio and started my urban career in journalism. Did a year there, but what you saw coming to Nebraska. Here's what I saw going back east. All of a sudden, here you got black people from Puerto Rico, and all you got black
Yeah.
folks from the West Indies, and you got
Yeah.
these Barbados and all these other
Yeah.
cultural influence musically, ethnically, and whatever. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I'm looking at these black folks in New York
Yeah.
are a little bit more self-assured than them colored folks out in Nebraska.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all got confidence, self-confidence, and roots,
Yeah.
and other kind of melanated people around you. That everybody's a brother in New York. I don't give a damn if you're
Yeah.
Jewish
Yeah.
or Italian.
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah.
vibe, you know what I'm saying? And a gift of gab and ability to blend and balance, and
Yeah.
everybody rolls together. So
Yeah.
we were isolated out there in Nebraska. We had a one little
Yes.
community and couldn't
Yes.
go
Very much
far.
so.
You see,
Very much so.
and nothing to lean on, nothing to bounce off of.
No, you're in the middle of you're in the middle of the country,
Absolutely,
basically.
absolutely.
It's funny because I would, when we were in school, I would say, "Hey, what you gonna do after you graduate?" Right? Nobody said I'm gonna stay in Omaha.
No,
They were going to go to Chicago. They were going to
somewhere.
go to
If it's Kansas
Minneapolis,
City, they would get it.
Kansas City. They was going somewhere
Minneapolis was
else.
good. Minneapolis, yeah, and
Yeah.
California. A lot of us went to California, but yeah,
Yeah. Some of California at that time seemed so far away.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
right.
it just seemed so far away. But the bottom line was that there was nothing there. Especially when the base pulled out, especially here. This is what it was after 1965
Okay,
when integration happened. Right, you got the voting rights bill. It was illegal to, to keep people from housing,
Yep.
even though it's tried today. What a lot of people don't realize was that military soldiers, airmen,
Right.
naval could not live on the base. They restricted the housing on the base to predominantly white folks.
You talking about at Offutt Air Force Base?
All of them,
Okay.
all of them. So that's why I was in Maple Street.
And
That's
your
why I
dad
was on
was
Maple.
military at the time. He
Yes,
said, what? Is that
that's
what?
why Russell Harrison was on where he was living.
Wait a minute. Russell's
But
parents were military as well?
yeah, his parents were military too.
Man, I'm hearing this for the first. That's my brother. That's first.
Yeah.
And I compare you and Russell, put y'all in the same category because you came out cool. Russell used to dress
I
sharp.
didn't know until he told me recently. I
Are you
didn't know it
serious?
either.
Are you
Yeah,
serious? I
yeah.
didn't know his
So,
family, but yeah, you wonder why a brother come from Harlem or wherever he came from to.
but you remember 24th Street. You remember how
Wow.
many businesses were on 24th Street? Nightclubs, Skeet's Barbecue,
Post office, haircut, laundry, cleaning,
bakery,
bakeries, drugstores, taxi cab offices,
When
doctors,
when
dentists, eye
when
doctors.
my father had to carpool to get to the base,
See,
right? After 1965, the base was open now. So guess what? All of those servicemen that used to bring their money into 24th Street,
ah,
that money went away.
wow. So he could get billeted on the base.
Well, now they could.
No, it's 65.
For instance, I went to stay with my daughter who's in the Navy, and we stayed on base.
Here in
I
Japan.
couldn't do that. I couldn't do that back prior to 1965.
Oh, she's here in Japan, right?
No, she was.
Okay.
She was here in Japan.
Okay.
She's in the Bay Area, and now she's in California now. Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line is that money from those soldiers.
Oh man, disposable income
Funding.
significant. Y'all had good, good pay.
And it was funding 24th Street.
To a great extent.
When that money, when they were able to move closer, right, to the base,
Sure.
get schooling on the base.
Go to Bellevue
right?
High School.
So now you have that fund, that funding gone.
Right.
My father bought a house. He bought a house on 33rd Street.
Wow.
But they left in 68. They left in 68.
Wow.
Right? So the bottom line was that all of that money because you remember 24th Street was popping.
Man, I lived on 24th Street.
I know you did.
From 6th, 7th grade, man. 7th grade, yeah.
I mean, it was something going on all the time. It was
24, and before, 25th and Corey. 3-4 years old, I moved to Wirt Street. That was up with the mobile. Now we get further north, and so the older brothers and sisters with the North High. And then when I went back to Grandma, the big house across from the Carnation Ballroom, I used to watch Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, Johnny Chuck Berry, and all them cats performing at that.
They would
Carnation
come right
Ballroom
they would come right to the north end.
The Carnation Ballroom, and next to it was a big old house, which I learned later when I was 15. It was a whole
James
house.
Brown came there. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Crap house, whole house, thriving. We had our own community, which I thought was cool. But then now you get liberated, and you get desegregated, and all of a sudden you're broke.
Well, that was the place where Jackie Wilson, all of the stars could come because they couldn't stay in the hotels downtown.
Absolutely.
So they came to the north side, the north end. right? North Omaha.
Sure, absolutely.
And you had there was a place from Skeets, M&M's,
You sure
all of
remember,
the,
don't you?
sure,
Matoya.
all of those, but it was businesses. It was a thriving business
Thriving
center district down there.
entrepreneurialism.
Yeah, yeah.
No
And it's
handouts,
gone.
brother. Everybody said it's going
It's
clean.
gone. It's gone.
And a few Jewish
So,
cats stayed there and had the little Mr. Nesselson and Mr. Freeman. You could go to
yeah,
some stores who hung on as long as he could. And
you
and
hung
buy,
on as long as
buy.
you could.
I used to go down with a note from my grandmother. Go down and get this to Mr. Nesselson. And my grandfather would say, and on the lunch meat, have him cut it thick so I could taste it. Because
Yeah,
they sliced it real thin. But you remember those
yeah.
days? You come here.
Oh,
I'll lunch meat.
I was sent to get, I
A
was
pound
sent
is a
in Philly.
pound. Okay.
In Philly, I was sent to get it sliced thin because they
Yeah,
wanted that meat to stretch out.
yeah, right. Granddaddy he said, man, he was like,
Oh yeah,
he
he was
was
boss man. He was
immediate,
boss man.
exactly, immediate
Boss
gratification.
man.
Get
Yeah.
and then
So
of course
yeah.
you buy enough to share. Everybody has a thick sandwich of lunch meat.
Exactly. So we have a history, and I think it's if we can really learn from that history to help this current generation move forward. Because I mean, you look at you
That's
and
the
I,
mission at hand, man. That's the mission. Yeah.
you and I, if we have that history, it's right here.
Hey, lived it.
Yeah,
We're
you did
calling it back up. We're
calling it back up.
I ain't
What
getting looking for
happens?
no notes. This is what we saw and what we lived, man.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
and and
generational,
and
and we're now at this time in our life.
but the other thing that's important that we have is context.
Absolutely.
Context. We understand why 24th Street has gone down. We understand what was going on when it was popping.
Right, right.
And that same thing is happening all over the country.
And then understanding, you grow old, you get wise, hopefully, and you get a perspective. But think about when we were going through it at the time, and
Oh yeah,
our parents and our uncles and our grandfolks realized
yeah,
that at that time what was happening to them, just like we would know right now, Black Lives Matter or whatever,
yeah,
current
yeah,
events and current affairs impacting
yeah.
our lives. Well, our predecessors knew then and was struggling to do something about it, But
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
time, man,
They,
time.
In Omaha, you had you had the base that provided employment, but then you had the slaughterhouse.
Oh,
You had
that
Cudahy, Swift. You had the packing house.
migration, brother. So
Yeah,
you had people born and raised in Omaha. Then you had people who came because of the industry, and the industry was the packing houses. We had at
yeah,
some point 7 major packing plants giving black folks job. You slaughtering beef and pigs and stuff like that, but
yeah, yeah.
you had a union, you had a salary, and you could buy that Buick, and you could put a down payment on a house.
Guess what? Guess what?
And
What happened to the union?
and on Saturday night you go down to
Yeah,
or
yeah,
go to the
and come
the
over to the
juke
M&M.
the juke joint or go to the M&M
You come to the M&M
or
or
the
go get some barbecue from
or
Skeets
or the offbeat
or the offbeat.
and get
Yeah,
that jazz that came up from Kansas
yeah,
City and
yeah,
Preston Love, at
yeah.
22 sitting in
When
the
was the
seat.
last time you were in Omaha?
Hey man, it would have been Omaha, 2007, I believe. I was inducted.
Yep.
Von Chapman, our brother Von Chapman, shout out to
Yeah,
Von, who did the
yeah,
Omaha Black Music Hall of Fame.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Broke me off a little, as a
yeah. There you
community
go.
organizer. I could play a flute. I didn't know
Yeah,
music, but
he hooked you up.
Kathy Hughes and I went over together. Harold Dow was the MC.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think Beasley John was there. Martin Briscoe,
yeah, yeah.
who's in San Diego right now, buddy. You know,
I'm not sure where he is
I
right
think
now.
he
I have
was.
to look.
Last I heard, he was down there.
I
But
have to look.
but you
But
this
I know, right? We were there in 2017. I went there in
okay? More
2017.
recent than I was. I was in
Yeah,
2007.
and they have a museum right there off the corner. You got 24th Street
24th and it. Yeah, I
and,
saw a lot of that. I may
and
have been back
Preston
there.
Love. They got Preston Love.
Well, I
Preston
think
Love's
that's
all through
just
there.
recently changed. Preston Love's got a
Yeah,
street, and they've got the Love Hall, the Love
yeah,
music
yeah.
thing. You know, I think that's evolving too. But Preston Love Jr., my big brother, who's my sister's age and stuff, who I knew growing up, is
Right,
back, came back to Omaha and settled down there too. He's poised
right.
to come on and do this show too. So I'm gonna pull them all out.
Good.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh, then all the brothers in my career who helped me. Buddy
yeah,
Williams is. I'm interviewing him tomorrow, Japan Time
yeah.
Tuesday. He's
Can you get what about his honor, the honorable state senator
Chambers.
Ernest Chambers?
Man, if I didn't get him twice a year coming up, I had him on Channel 7. I had him on the Nebraska television.
Yeah,
He was
that's
a
the one.
go-to guy, man, and he would always.
Still is.
I'll tell you some stuff about him. This brother, he had so much respect. As a senator,
Yeah,
I'd called him to be interviewed on my show, which is called Rap About It, by the way. I had a monthly
right,
series called
right,
Rap About It, which started back at Channel 7. I'm still using it today. But Ernie would
right.
come on and all them white engineers and folks do what they normally do, you know, to
Yeah,
adhere to the protocols abroad. Your lighting, you had to wipe your brow, put a little makeup powder so you don't shine. And
yeah.
Ernie said,
Shine.
Ernie said, don't touch my, don't put no powder on me. Just roll the
Yeah,
camera. With his melanated
I like it.
sweat. Come on. I said, yeah, don't be putting no powder on that.
And I don't want none either.
Matter of fact, stop putting it on me. not, not in earnest, not when he was on my show, brother.
Man, I love it.
Ain't no
I love it.
mic check. That's on you, man. You ready?
Yeah,
Ask me a question.
yeah. Love it.
Oh my
I love
God, he was so strong.
it. Yeah.
To this day,
So yeah,
my
you
nephew
have to
sent me
get
a
it.
video of at the last Omaha days. I guess he was there. He's got to be 80 something.
Yeah.
He's about 84. I guess he was the same age as my older brother. And he got in the picture, and Mike said, "Yeah, I'm Mike Adams' son. My brother Mike, my nephew, who's been with me 25 years, still got a house down the road here in Japan with a wife and two
Hmm.
kids." Playing music, you know, because the bottom dropped out of the whole entertainment thing for foreign musicians in Japan and Tokyo.
Yeah.
So he's working. But he chatted up with Ernie and identified him. Says, "Oh, so Ernie was asking about my big brother Mike, and said he's still in San Francisco." Yeah, okay. So I looked at it. I said, "Man, you know, I used to put him on, man. Way
Uh-huh.
back. Ernie was a go-to guy for me, brother.
Telling you,
Whenever
man.
any issue, you know."
I'm telling you, he was the guy I would walk. I would walk,
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
wasn't driving the car. And I was too young to drive a car, but I would walk from 33rd and Blondo,
Wow,
24th and Spencer to get a
wow,
haircut
wow.
every week.
And also get school, but
Yeah.
with Dr. Dan Goodwin,
Oh yeah.
you know,
That's him.
the
That's
professor,
him. I
the
can think of his
professor, you
name.
know, he's still thriving.
Yeah.
The Goodwin, and then
Is
there's
he
another.
still there?
I think he ended. It was his shop, the
Yeah.
Goodwin, Spencer Street Barbershop, Goodwin, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah. He's
Yeah.
still alive, I believe.
Good. Good
That's
for
our
him.
good friend Terry Goodwin's uncle, you know, and John Goodwin's
Good for
brother.
him. Good for him.
Yeah, man. So listen, man. You know, obviously we could go on another 2 hours, but
Yeah.
but I'm gonna cut you
Well,
some slack and say thank you for sitting with me on this experimental broadcast. We'll see.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
recorded. I'm gonna chop it up in episodes because ain't nobody gonna
There
see
you
the
go.
whole one.
There you go. There you go.
I'm looking at what the recording time is. I don't know.
Uh,
4 hours, brother.
well, is that right?
4 hours and 20 some minutes, man.
About
That-
okay. Yeah, a little less than that,
What
but
time you got? What time?
I got 12:30.
Okay. So 12:30 is
So
4:38
we
here, but
started at around 11 o'clock.
So that's 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I had, before you got on, I had been on for half an hour. So this
You've
whole
been on
recording,
for a while. Yeah.
the tape is going to be,
What time do you start?
well,
What
today's,
time did you start?
no, it's random, man. I try to, depends on who I'm interviewing. If you're living in California, I try to make it easy on you. I don't want to have you up.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
if New York is 3 hours the other way of you, so I got to
Gotcha.
do it a little bit early, you know. So you figure out
Gotcha.
I'm 12 hours ahead of New York this time of year. So if it's
Yeah.
4 something,
Yeah.
it's 3 in the morning right now. So you got to
Yeah.
be close to midnight, right?
Yeah. I'm at right after midnight.
Okay.
12:30. Yeah.
Okay, so let's sign off, man.
All right, brother.
I will save this tape, and I'm gonna clearly have to extract nice
Yeah.
30-minute chunks and share
Yeah.
that with you, post it, and let you do what you
Yeah.
want with it. And
Fantastic.
I'll put the titles in the opening and closing. And
All right.
if we mention Johnny Rogers, well, I'll have to insert a shot of Johnny on there.
Ah,
That kind of thing. It take me time to post produce. This is what I do, man, all day long.
I love it. I love it.
So.
You know what to do,
Appreciate you, man. Really, we
brother.
covered a
I
lot of
mean,
ground, man. We covered a
well,
lot of
listen,
ground.
this was new for me, and so
Well, you seem very much at home doing it, man, because you
yeah,
knew what you were talking about.
we got a good host. Got a
Yeah,
good host.
and a good co-host. We didn't have any other guests, but that's cool. I had you an exclusive, so I'm gonna end the
Oh,
show right here. If you sit
all
right
right,
there,
brother.
I'm gonna say. Hold it right there before you disappear. Let me just look at the camera and say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this special experimental broadcast with my good brother and childhood friend, Gregory Hatton. How do I pronounce that?
Hatton.
Gregory Hatton Gramby, my
Yeah.
childhood friend, and we reminisced about the days in Omaha, Nebraska, and other related issues such as
There we go.
freedom, justice, and equality, and all of that, you know.
All of
So,
that.
well, we'll hope to see you again on Japan Journal, the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Kagoshima City, right here in the Media Arts Lab, the acronym of which is MAL, M-L, Media Arts Lab. That's branding, baby. Okay. All right, my brother. See
All
ya.
right.
I'll be back in
Peace.
touch. Peace out. All
All
right.
right. Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you too, man. All right. And we're out of here. And that's going to do it for another 3, 2, 1. And that's going to do it for another edition of Japan Journal, the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan. Japan Journal with yours truly, Mal Adams. This is the Rap About It with Mal Adams episode featuring my dear friend and longtime colleague, Gregory Gramby, who is coming to us from San Diego, California in the USA. We'll be dividing this lengthy interview up into episodes and various segments to be rebroadcast throughout the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. But for now, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. This is Paladin saying sayonara from Japan. Peace.
Japan Journal, the internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan. Japan Journal with Mal Adams.